Hey folks, this is Riker with a gaming news wrap-up video where we discuss the happenings of the week. This week's topics include unionization moving forward at Blizzard Albany, some drama with the voice performer for Bayonetta, the Diablo 4 beta starting, because people break NDA, and more. As always, discussion timestamps can be found in the description below. But right before you skip ahead, just a quick reminder to ring that sub notification bell to be alerted to new Saturday episodes and stay up to date with gaming news highlights. Now before we move on, a quick word from this video's sponsor, Far East Diablo-style game Time Raiders. Time Raiders is a tomb raiding MMORPG on mobile, in which you embark on adventures to uncover the clues to ancient legends, unearth long-lost temples, and fight the supernatural guardians of the treasures within. The game features a variety of PvE and PvP activities, on top of Diablo content, for both solo and group play, along with a casual-friendly autoplay feature that you can optionally enable. You can collect different pets that you can summon in battle to fight alongside of you. And in one of the game modes, Dragon Hunt, you team up to go on treasure hunts, and you'll face challenges in which you either have to decrypt a puzzle, or if you're stumped, just go ahead and fight monsters. If you're accustomed to just a hack and slash like Diablo, it adds an extra element to the gameplay. A lot of games ape off Diablo to produce a generic dark fantasy setting, but Time Raiders takes a Far East spin on dark fantasy. And this also extends to the loot. So the items you find are going to have this mystical Far East spin to them, as compared to Diablo. So check out Time Raiders by clicking the link in the description below, and follow Time Raiders' socials to keep up to date with the game. Starting with some quick news, we got a new trailer for upcoming Final Fantasy XVI, which is slated for release in summer 2023. It's a mostly cinematic trailer that introduces some factions and politics, and feels a little Game of Thrones in that regard. It has a great musical score and some excellent voice acting. I think I picked up the voice of Ralph Ineson, who voices the Haradrim suspected to be Lorath in the Diablo 4 trailer, as well as being a Hollywood actor. But that's just my ears anyway. Link in the description for you folks to check out the Final Fantasy trailer for yourselves. In other news, action role-playing game Gotham Knights has released this week to mixed reviews. It's an open-world game set in a post-Batman Gotham City featuring 4 playable heroes, each with their own unique abilities. And it supports up to 2-player co-op. On OpenCritic, the game has a 70% score based on around 100 critic reviews, but with a wide range of low and high scores that seem to revolve around whether the reviewer enjoyed the open-world filler content that was not part of the main storyline. Survival horror game Scorn also released recently, about a week ago, and it's been receiving mixed or average reviews, a 71% from OpenCritic. Its art direction, inspired by H.R. Geiger, was praised, as well as its puzzles, but the combat was criticized as being tedious. It's another polarizing game for critics, and the aesthetics of the game may be enough for some people to give this one a try. Speaking of horror, we got this week a teaser trailer for Silent Hill F, which will be a completely new story set in 1960s Japan. It's looking beautifully creepy with a hauntingly discordant soundtrack. We also got a teaser trailer for the remake of Silent Hill 2. Link to both of those in the description. In some Blizzard news, Blizzard Albany, formerly Vicarious Visions, the studio that made Diablo 2 Resurrected, has reached a milestone toward unionization. The National Labor Relations Board ruled this week that a group of 21 quality assurance testers at the company could vote in a union election. Activision Blizzard had tried to stop this by arguing that all 88 workers in that studio should get a vote, but the NLRB ruled otherwise. One of their main reasons was that the QA workers are paid significantly less than other employees, which helps make their interests distinct enough from other employees that they could have their own union. The QA testers will be mailed ballots on October 27th, and the votes will be counted on November 18th. If they succeed, they'll be the second Activision Blizzard sub-studio to successfully unionize, with Activision-owned Raven Software having successfully unionized earlier this year. In some Bayonetta 3 controversy, Bayonetta's original voice actress, who's not voicing the titular character in the 3rd installment, wants fans to boycott the game. The publisher recently claimed that the reason Helena Taylor did not return to voice Bayonetta was because they couldn't make things work with her schedule. And Taylor has now spoken up to flat out refute this, saying she has nothing but time. Helena Taylor claimed on Twitter that the devs offered her only $4,000 to do the voice work for Bayonetta 3.
What did they offer to pay me? The final offer to do the whole game as a buyout, a flat rate, was $4,000 US.
She went on to call this offer an insult, and then asked fans to boycott the game, then affirmed that she was just asking for a decent wage.
I didn't want the world. I didn't ask for too much. I was just asking for a decent, dignified living wage.
In a follow-up clip, she tried to guilt people into boycotting the game by making them feel like they're horrible people for not doing so.
I understand that boycotting this game is a personal choice, and there are those that won't, and that's fine. But if you're someone who cares about people, who cares about the world around you, who cares about who gets hurt with these financial decisions, then I urge you to boycott this game.
There is one thing I fully agree with her about.
I decided to do it to stand up in solidarity with people all over the world who do not get paid properly for their talents. Fat cats cream off the top and leave us the rotten crumbs. You know, in England right now, there are nurses going to food banks to feed their children. This is not right. This is not acceptable.
There's a lot of professions that are criminally underpaid for the services they provide to our communities, and nurses are certainly among those people. I'm just not sure boycotting Bayonetta 3 is gonna help them in any way. Then, in another video, Taylor described the replacement voice actress, the legendary Jennifer Hale, who was recognized in 2013 by Guinness World Records as the most prolific video game voice actress of all time, as a new girl.
They now have a new girl voicing her over. And I love actors. I wish her all the joy in the world. I wish her all the jobs, but she has no right to say she is the voice of Bayonetta. I created that voice. She has no right to sign merchandise as Bayonetta, any more than I have the right to sign as Eva Green, even though I was her parrot on the video game The Golden Compass. That portrayal is hers and hers alone.
Now, you may notice I'm taking a certain tone about this, which is a bad look for me at this point of the story. $4,000 to voice an entire game in a beloved franchise absolutely is an insult. And you can rest assured that Jennifer Hale is being paid much more than that. So fans immediately took Taylor's side. In response, Hideki Kamiya, the creator of Bayonetta, tweeted, quote, "Sad and deplorable about the attitude of untruth. That's what all I can tell now." The story continued to develop, however, with Jennifer Hale, the Guinness World Record holding new girl, spoke up in a message on Twitter. Why? Well, because people were harassing her for taking on the job, since Taylor unintentionally, I'll be charitable, unintentionally sent haters after Hale. When the truth is, Jennifer Hale likely had no idea what happened with Helena Taylor to begin with. Hale was put in a position where she was forced to make a public statement and didn't say much in it. She said that she supports every actor's right to be paid well. She reminds people that games are made by an entire team of hardworking people, indirectly implying that boycotting the game will hurt them when they had nothing to do with the situation, and finished by saying that she hopes that everyone involved may resolve their differences in an amicable and respectful way. But then something would happen that would completely change the narrative. Trusted industry insider Jason Schreier released a tell-all article that paints a very different picture of events. According to Schreier and his sources, of which he had 2 different sources corroborate this information, as well as documentation that he was able to review. So according to all this, the devs were determined to rehire Taylor for Bayonetta 3. According to what Schreier learned, the devs were looking to hire Taylor for at least 5 sessions, with each session paying between $3,000 and $4,000, for a total of 4 hours in the studio. So the total pay would be $15,000. Schreier says that when they presented Taylor this offer, she countered by asking for 6 figures, plus royalties on game sales. And royalties are basically unheard of in the industry. The devs declined this counteroffer, and after lengthy negotiations, they started auditions for another actor. Despite this, the devs allegedly still offered Taylor a cameo for the fee of 1 session, likely the $4,000 that Taylor was talking about in her videos, which she declined. Schreier reached out to Taylor about this before running the story, and she described the devs' account of things as an absolute lie. So this certainly is a he said, she said situation, but then Video Games Chronicle came out and corroborated Schreier's story completely with their own sources. So again, we don't know for sure what happened, but I'm inclined to believe Schreier's side of the story. It also doesn't make logical sense to me that the devs would lowball the actual voice actress of Bayonetta that everyone loves in order to hire a more expensive voice actress who is much more in demand. It couldn't be about saving money if they were just going to go with the more expensive option. Now, that isn't to say that there isn't any merit behind Taylor's message. Voice actors are often underpaid. While they may earn $250 per hour in recording sessions, this does not factor in all the unpaid hours they spend practicing their craft, traveling, and just looking for work. So sure, a voice actor may get a $3,000 gig, but that might be the only work they get that month. In other news, Netflix has opened up a new game studio led by former Overwatch executive producer Chaco Sonny, who had left Blizzard in September 2021. Additionally, Netflix is, quote, seriously exploring a cloud gaming offering. Not even a month after Google announced it's shutting down Stadia. But Netflix's VP of Gaming believes Stadia failed due to its business model, so hopefully history doesn't repeat itself here. The Germans in World War II thought they had a better plan than Napoleon did when they tried to invade Russia, but didn't work out for them either. And speaking of Stadia, following the closure announcement, more and more stories have emerged of Stadia game devs that were completely blindsided by the closure. Ars Technica spoke to a number of them, and there's a lot of stories of devs who were still working on fixing bugs that Google had identified for them and asked them to fix. There was no indication of the shutdown plans before the public announcement, even during back and forth emails with Google. Now, while I don't know what the common practice in the industry is, I do know that many companies will hold private meetings to inform their employees at a meeting at least a few hours before a public announcement, like minimum. I think the worst place to find out that the last several months of effort in your life have gone to waste is through a YouTuber or a Reddit thread. In other news, Obsidian Entertainment co-founder and CEO Fergus Urquhart has stated that he'd love to make a new Fallout game. Obsidian made the critically acclaimed Fallout New Vegas, and Urquhart worked on the first two Fallout games as the leader of Black Isle Studios. Fallout 3 and 4 were made by Bethesda, as well as Fallout 76. Now, Microsoft owns both Bethesda and Obsidian, so it is very possible for Microsoft to get Obsidian to make the next Fallout game. In some Undecember news, this anticipated ARPG on PC and mobile released last week, and the immediate Steam reviews were quite terrible. This wasn't a surprise. If you release a mobile game with mobile game monetization on Steam, where PC gamers live, even though it's a pretty good port otherwise, you're going to get a lot of bad reviews because PC gamers hate pay to win. It's a shame because outside of the monetization, the game is pretty good. I put out a sponsored video talking about the game systems yesterday. We talk about the skill system, we talk about basically what goes into a character build, we touch upon some of the things that you can buy, and I'm going to have a follow-up video with more of a review, more of my thoughts on the game, more judging the game and judging the monetization. I'll say now though that the monetization is not as bad as Diablo Immortal, but I still dislike any kind of pay for advantage or pay to speed up progress, pay for crafting materials, the kind of stuff that we do see in Undecember. But the monetization isn't the only reason Undecember was getting bad reviews. A lot of complaints revolved around a story that Undecember installs a rootkit on your computer. A rootkit that doesn't get deleted when you uninstall the game. To give an oversimplified explanation, a rootkit is a program that has complete and total access to your computer, more than you do as an administrator. That sounds dangerous, of course, and it is. Because while you may trust the game devs to not do anything nefarious with your computer, if a hacker can get access to your computer and that rootkit, then they own you. In Undecember's case, the program was an anti-cheat system called nprotect. This anti-cheat is also used in many other games, with the most notable example being PUBG. So if you have PUBG installed, you have nprotect. You have this rootkit on your computer. Other games also use similar invasive anti-cheat, games like Valorant, which uses Vanguard anti-cheat. You got Vanguard, you got Valorant, you got a rootkit on your computer. We actually spoke about Vanguard back when Valorant released, and we explored the dangers of these root-level anti-cheats back then. Now, this week, the Undecember devs released a program that lets you delete nprotect, along with instructions on how to do so. Of course, if you're playing Undecember, you need to have nprotect installed, but at least now if you delete the game, you are able to delete nprotect. So if you tried out Undecember and you have stopped playing, it's worth going in and removing that nprotect. In World of Warcraft news, Blizzard released an animated shorts trailer for Dragonflight Legacies. And I'm getting major Doctor Strange vibes from Nosdormu. Legacies will premiere on October 25th. I watch all the WoW animated shorts. Even though I don't play WoW, I'm just an old school Warcraft 2 and Warcraft 3 player, but they always get me excited. Blizzard has also released a launch roadmap for upcoming expansion Dragonflight. Pre-patch begins on October 25th, which once again corroborates the leaked summer roadmap. On November 15th, the new Drakthir race will be playable with Twitch drops enabled. A Twitch drop is generally some cosmetic reward that you get by watching select Twitch streamers for X amount of time, as long as you're actually logged into your Twitch account and you have your Twitch account connected to your Battle.net account. The expansion launches on the 25th, and there will be more Twitch drops, and then the raid opens on December 13th with yet more Twitch drops. In some Torchlight Infinite news, last night I participated in a live roundtable discussion with the Torchlight Infinite devs, plus host Rich W. Campbell, and special guests David Brevik and Tenki, to talk about what makes a good ARPG and discuss Torchlight. And the devs were open to answering hard-hitting monetization questions. On that topic, and I guess this might tie into the difference between PC and mobile monetization, do you guys feel that it's not possible to make a game that is also on mobile, because of course you're cross-platform, that has viable in the long term, sustainable, that is only using cosmetic microtransactions?
Really good questions. Actually, another question we discuss quite a lot internally. So first of all, we want to share is Torchlight Infinite. When we start the project, we are targeting cross-platform players. So of course, we are not only exclusive on PC or console, and we are not only a mobile title. So cross-platform is really challenging because, as I mentioned, it's a huge player base, and you can see how diverse and how different these players. They have totally different game experience, game background, right? So it's really challenging, I would say. But rather than if we are going to this approach or that approach to the previous complaint, we just set up several guidelines. We actually had two guidelines. So the green line means the monetization should be sustainable to support a healthy business cycle, because we are free to play and it's game as a service. We want to run the game in really long term. So if we cannot generate enough revenue to support the dev team, then we cannot deliver sufficient and high quality content to our players. So that's green line. So we should make sure our monetization should above this green line. But we also had a red line. The red line is David's last video, he already mentioned in his interview, one of the interview is the core is we do not want the monetization affect the core gameplay. That's a red line. If we cross this line, that means the player's general game experience will be impact. That's definitely the thing we wanted. It's not the thing we wanted. So just take the in detail. So for this red line, for example, we mentioned very clearly at the very beginning, we will never introduce PvP system in our game. So that means you don't. There's no incentive to win to other players. And again, we don't sell any how to say the in-game currency or these crafting materials, all this kind of stuff. We were never in a cash shop. It's all by loot. You loot for all of the things. It's like that. So there are just two very little examples, but we do have red lines.
Then the devs actually put a cap on the monetization debate when, impromptu, the community manager proposed the idea of an actually really interesting competition where they're going to have one player, it's looking like it's going to be Rich, who's going to be fed an unlimited pay-to-win budget. He can spend as much as he wants, he's going to be reimbursed for everything, and he's going to be put up against a completely free-to-play player, and they're going to have some kind of competition because they want to prove that the free-to-play player, they're going to try to pull someone who's very skilled, will be able to beat the pay-to-win player, which in many games that have pay-to-win elements would be impossible. Now, we don't know what the outcome of this is going to be, but I want to follow this story. I want to see this competition. The devs basically want to put their money where their mouth is. Now, personally, I still don't like having anything in which you can purchase some kind of an advantage, but if you are going to have that, at least if the advantage is small enough that it doesn't invalidate free-to-play play, Well, it's better than the alternative. And most players in Torchlight Infinite are saying that they've made it to endgame without ever feeling like they need to spend money, and that spending money wouldn't even be that helpful for them. In some Diablo 4 news, we'll quickly reiterate that the WoW Dragonflight pre-patch date corroborates the summer leak once again. And that leak also stated that Diablo 4 pre-purchase would be revealed on December 8th at the Game Awards. According to various leaks, the Diablo 4 closed endgame beta has begun. Tuesday saw a sudden number of people posting on Reddit and various social media claiming that they're in the beta and that it began. Plus, a number of people tried to stream the beta on Twitch, despite being under a pretty clear non-disclosure agreement to, not do that. These streams have all been pretty short-lived before they've been nuked, and since the game client demonstrates the player's ID in a watermark plastered across the screen, it's safe to say that all these players have lost their beta access. Remember folks, if you get into the D4 beta, you are under NDA to not share any information with anyone. You can't privately stream it to friends over Discord, you can't post about it on social media, you gotta treat it like Fight Club. The first rule about D4 beta is that you do not talk about D4 beta. That said, the people who have not followed the NDA and publicly expressed opinions have had generally great things to say. Redditor Lunatar says the game feels good as hell. Redditor Feces of Atheism, goodness gracious that name, says combat is so smooth and responsive and even better than Diablo 3's, which he calls unparalleled. He says the skill tree is extremely deep. Redditor Blows says the open world is vast and that there are many side dungeons. Now, this is all alleged. Anyone, of course, can just claim they're in the beta and say whatever they want on social media. So take this all with a grain of salt. But the general lack of negative comments is certainly promising. In some Diablo 1 news, the mod known as The Hell 2 has been completed after almost 17 years of development. It was being developed as The Hell 1 for the first 11.5 years before development moved on to The Hell 2 in 2017. The Hell 2 is a total overhaul mod for Diablo 1 that brings more options, brings bug fixes, improves balance, performance optimization. It adds at least 50% more content to the game. That's 24 basic dungeon levels and 21 new quests. The base engine was upgraded to support up to 4K widescreen. The mod has functional multiplayer with instanced loot like in Diablo 3, auto gold pickup, 6 classes to play and 29 subclasses, 3 new item slots, expanded inventory, enhanced monster AI, and just a ton more stuff. Do give it a look, link in the description below. I love the modding community. It's one of my favorite aspects of PC gaming. It's really a shame that Diablo 2 Resurrected's modding options are so limited. They're still there, we got some community members still making mods, but we're not seeing the same scope that we saw with Diablo 2, for instance, or that we're seeing with this Diablo 1 mod. And that's gonna wrap up this week's video, but do be sure to check out last week's video, in which we discussed the latest Diablo 4 art and what it could mean for the game. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you saw on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can consider pledging on YouTube or Patreon, and unlocking behind-the-scenes content, monthly virtual hangouts, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please share it. Check out these other videos, and subscribe to join Riker's Raiders for more gaming content.